Today's episode of Inside Gaming Daily is brought to you by Stamps.com. You get a 4-week free trial, free postage, and free digital scale by going to Stamps.com, clicking the microphone in the upper right, and entering our code NO.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Inside Gaming Daily for Monday.
Hey, that's right. Give it a clap. It's Clap Monday, as always. The Division 2 has only been out for a few days, but there are signs that it's already in trouble. Oh.
One might say that its sales numbers were the Division by 2.
Gosh, who wrote? Was that you?
It was me.
Okay. All right,
but the next
there we
line will make that clear.
Holy shit, did you just do a games journalism? High five. Wait, that's not games journalism.
Yes, it is!
What are you talking about?
Writing a dumbass headline because of some stupid
Reviews of the squad / shooter / whatever you want it to be shooter have been positive, but in one market, it's only sold a fraction of the physical copies of its predecessor.
That's right. Making matters worse, it's releasing in a really crowded field of looter shooters these days, so time might be working against it.
Let's talk about these sales numbers first. Lawrence, take it away.
Okay, so these come from the UK. It's part of the regular listing that we get from the top of the physical game charts in that market. So first of all, God bless the Queen, innit?
I don't know what that means.
England is the last nation actually providing real physical sales numbers, and without it, we wouldn't have this drip feed of salacious headlines to run for you guys. So yeah, while the Division 2 topped the sales charts, which is good, Eurogamer reports that it sold just 20% of the physical copies that its predecessor did, that being the Division 1.
Well, but we're going physical to digital, right?
That's true. I mean, that is the ongoing narrative, but this is well below the normal trade-off of the physical to digital transition. And here's where we add the usual caveats. It's just the UK. No offense, UK. And we're just talking about physical copies, which have also been losing ground to digital copies for a long time.
For sure. Also, the first Division launched on a Tuesday compared to a Friday for the Division 2. So the first game had some more time before sales numbers were reported.
Yeah, so we may know a little bit more here later in the week.
Sure.
Either way, we couldn't find exact sales numbers for the first Division during its opening week back in 2016, but based on reports at the time, it did pretty well.
Ubisoft said at the time that it smashed single-day records for a Ubisoft game and that it had the biggest first week ever for a new game franchise.
Yeah, Ubisoft said that it made $330 million globally in its first 5 days. That's the Division 1, with 1.2 million peak concurrent users over its first weekend.
And everyone went, oh, that's what it is. It was hailed as a new breakthrough IP for Ubisoft, so it's safe to say that expectations were high for the sequel, and it hasn't really met them.
Oh, Lawrence, what happened?
Same story we've heard of quite a lot this year so far. It'd be the latest high-profile AAA game that's had a troubled launch. Wait, what do I hear on the horizon?
Oh, God.
What?
There's a sound effect that Autumn's adding, I'm sure.
Is it time? Guys, sound the anthem alarm! Whoa!
There were also early warning signs last month that Anthem wasn't doing so hot either.
During its first week, it only sold half the physical copies in the UK that Mass Effect Andromeda did, and its opening weekend physical sales were lower than both Kingdom Hearts 3 and the Resident Evil 2 remake.
We don't have updated sales numbers for Anthem, but given all the controversy about the buggy gameplay and lack of content, it's safe to say that its launch wasn't what BioWare planned.
Yeah, it remains to be seen if Anthem will sell 6 million copies in the first quarter like EA wanted. Lawrence, it's gonna do anything anywhere near that, right?
No way. But yeah, we're picking on Anthem again, but it's not just Anthem. There's another smelly kid in the class. Fallout 76 had another ton of issues, to say the least, and while Battlefield 5 sold more than 7 million copies, which you'd think would be great, EA still called it a disappointment. Kind of like coming home with an A- on your Asian parents to yell at you and tell you.
Yeah, we knew the race. Lawrence, give me some more of that AAA development is dying hysteria, though.
So like we said, Division 2's only been out for a few days, been getting good reviews at least. Lots of people were happy to say that it hasn't had the bugs and crash issues that we're seeing in some other big name releases, and even the original Division.
But what are the reviews saying, Lawrence? What are they like?
They're pretty good so far. It got a 79 on OpenCritic and an 81 on Metacritic.
That's pretty good.
At the time of writing. Quick rundown of some of the reviews floating around. Destructoid liked it, saying that it's the rare looter shooter that's launched without a ton of bugs. Its reviewer said, quote, outside of 1 day of infrequent crashes and skill bugs on PS4, which seem to have been patched, my experience has been smooth.
That's really good.
And our good friend Paul Tassi over at Forbes had high praise for all the content that's in the launch version, saying that it, quote, absolutely dwarfs Anthem. He's right about that. It is a Ubisoft map, and it is crammed to the gills with icons and activities.
Man, let's kick corpse wads down, I guess.
Kick a little more dirt on it. Yeah, Paul Tassi also wrote, Anthem feels like it has, not even sure, maybe 20 to 30% of the total missions and activities the Division 2 has, if that.
Wow.
You accidentally beat Anthem one night. Like, whoops, it's over.
I did.
Lots of launch content is good news, especially because the first Division was criticized for not having enough stuff to do, especially in the endgame.
Yeah, the first Division also had issues with cheaters in its PvP area, which led to developer Massive Entertainment perma-banning the worst offenders.
But they eventually righted the ship, and the game has been positively received, which is the whole reason we got all Division 2, basically.
Here we are. So sales in the UK aren't great, but what does this mean for the future of Division 2, Lawrence?
Well, it's really early, but this is an interesting scenario to be in. Got a little Anthem stuck in my throat.
Omar laugh.
I know.
So yeah, it's still really early for one thing. It's way too early to pass judgment.
Yeah.
Maybe this is just some looter shooter burnout. There's been a lot of them hitting lately. And plus we've had some really banger free-to-play games coming out, so maybe people are saving their $60. Good news for the Division 2 is that some gamers might be sitting on the fence, and if it's getting good word of mouth and good reviews, it might get a little lift later on.
I've been waiting for it.
And it makes sense given some releases lately that people might hold off a little bit on that purchasing decision. So you might be buggy as shit, might have nothing to do. Watching Twitch streams, oh, it seems fine. Okay, I'll get into it. And to be fair, Ubisoft has a really good record of sticking with games until all the kinks are worked out. They have a really good games of service record, actually. Rainbow Six Siege is still going strong.
Absolutely.
Despite having some issues in the early days.
It's also a mixed bag when it comes to sequels, because Watch Dogs 2 sales weren't even close to the first game.
Ooh.
Meanwhile, The Crew 2 was pretty much in line sales-wise with the first Crew.
So I don't really know how Division 2 will sell versus Division 1. Obviously, like we've talked about in our little meeting earlier, Division 1 was supposed to establish the IP. Division 2 is then supposed to be the big one that everybody blows up and goes, oh, the game is better, we can buy it.
Yeah.
I don't really know that that's what's happening now.
I think the game already found its audience, and I think like Lauren said, there's only so many looter shooter type fans out there who devote all their time to one game. Basically our little Jacob to Destiny, where he has 3 maxed out characters on one account.
I mean, it could go either way. I honestly think that that particular market might be saturated, which sucks because nobody knew that 3 years ago when George Ubisoft said, yes, make Division 2.
Yeah.
They did a really good job. I feel like the same conversations were happening at EA when they greenlit Anthem. Just made all the sense in the world back then. Now all those products are hitting all at the same time. People who want those kinds of games are full up. Hell, we got Borderlands 3 probably coming.
Let's act surprised when they announce it though, okay?
Yeah.
There's also Monster Hunter World. Revolves around constantly upgrading your gear with drops, so it could also scratch that itch for looter
Right.
shooter stuff. And of course, like you mentioned before, there's Fortnite, Apex Legends. You do loot in those games. They're not looter shooters, but you do loot in them, and then you also run around and shoot stuff. They're totally free.
Yeah.
Millions and millions of people are playing them.
So yeah, there's a ton of stuff competing for our time these days.
But this is all a great problem to have. There's so many video games out right now.
Sure.
But if you're a new game like Division 2, maybe not so great.
Hey, she's the girl not going to the prom.
But she's so pretty.
She's beautiful, but Cindy
It seems like you can't get any inroads with anybody today unless you put it out for free first, Cindy. Today's episode of Inside Gaming Daily is sponsored by Stamps.com because shipping things shouldn't be annoying, and it often is. Stamps.com allows you to buy postage for anything from home, print it out, and skip lines, skip the hassle, skip the headache, skip everything. And it saves you money. It's just flat cheaper. You can save 5 cents off of every first-class stamp and up to 40% off of priority mail. That's real easy. If you're trying to declutter, streamline your life, get a little Marie Kondo action up in there, you can spark joy and save money at the same time with Stamps.com. That's right, I co-opted her stuff to sell you stamps, and I don't feel bad about it. We also have a great offer for you. If you go to Stamps.com, click the mic in the upper right and use our code KNOW, K-N-O-W, no, it's what it used to be called. You can get a 4-week free trial, plus free postage, and a free digital scale. You need that to measure what you're gonna send so you can actually print out the proper postage. That's at Stamps.com. Click the mic in the upper right, use our code KNOW. 4 weeks free stamps, and a free scale for you. So please check that out. Thank you, Stamps.com, for the sponsorship. It just sounds like it's a bunch of ego fluff. You just slap buttons and then people die and the game's like, hey, you gaming real good. Like leveling up. It's saccharine. It wears off pretty quick.
I mean, when we played it, we tried to coordinate, and it mostly just devolved into who's saying that.
Yeah, no.
Come near the tree. What tree?
There's lots of particle effects.
I'm up. What do you mean up?
And then, of course, there